Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Cassie and today we're talking about my Make 9 for 2023. So if that's something that you are interested in, then let's get right into it. So I must admit that I love videos about planning. I love organizational videos. I love like sewing planning, knitting planning videos, but I do not love to follow a plan. That is something that I struggle with. And last year I made one of these Make 9 videos and I was looking at it before I started today's video, and I will be honest, I did one thing. I completed one project. It was jeans. I almost debated on not even making this video at all, but I really wanted to, and I wanted to approach it in a bit of a different way. So if you've never heard about Make 9 before, I'll just quickly break down what it is. It's referring to the 3x3 Instagram grid that people will pull up, at the end of the year to sort of recap their top memories or like their top posts. So usually it's like the top 9 well-performing posts in a year. Make 9 plays on that 3x3 grid, but instead is more of like a planning tool. So 9 things that you want to make in the next year, or whatever it ends up being. 9 things you want to knit, 9 things you want to sew, 9 books you want to read, blah 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 blah. It can kind of be any of that stuff. For this purpose, it's going to be 9 things I want to make, and there'll be knitting and sewing stuff in there. That's the general idea behind the Make 9. And like I said, it's not going to be as specific as like 9 different patterns. It'll be a bit different than how I normally do it. And you will want to stick around to the end because I just have a little bit of a few extra thoughts other than the 9 things, a few little goals and plans for the year if you're curious about all that. So let's just get into it. There's no point in wasting any time. We'll start with number 1. The first one that I had in mind was a wool tailored coat. And I actually did want to make this like pretty much first thing this year until I realized that the pattern that I want doesn't really exist yet. I could probably hack one, but I really, when it comes to this kind of thing, I want it to work well, and I want to follow something that is as close to like my desired product as possible. And so I know that Bella Loves Patterns has the traveler coat. That was one that I initially was planning on making. I love the kind of like structure of it, the drop shoulder, slightly oversized but not too oversized. It reminds me a lot of the Max Mara coat. I'll put a photo of it on the screen so you can see. That's kind of like my dream coat in a lot of ways. But I live in Montreal, which is a cold place for a lot of the year, especially in the winter. And even though this is not gonna like replace a parka, I do want to be able to wear it as much as possible. And so it does need to be warm. And part of that is that it needs to button up all the way. If it does not have buttons all the way up to like the collarbone, then it's not gonna work for me. So it must button up all the way. And it must have a few other features as well. I want it to be able to cinch in at the wrists. I want it to be slightly oversized, but a little bit more tailored, not too oversized, because I'm 5'3", it just really is, it dwarfs me if it's too big. I would like for it to have some sort of back vent, because if it's going to be long, it should have a back vent. Deep pockets, and it probably welt pockets, even though I've never really done welt pockets. I think that would be a good challenge, and it's also just a pretty key feature of that style of coat. It has to be lined for sure. And then it also has to look good with a belt or without a belt. So it has to be able to be belted, but I would also like for it to look nice without the belt. So those are kind of the key features. I've already got the wool that I want to make. It's going to be like a lovely heavy charcoal gray wool. And then I would like to, there's a type of lining, and it's blanking. I'll put it on the screen if I can remember it. But it's I think it's like a flannel backed satin. And so it's flannel on the inside and satin on the outside. So it's quite a bit of a warmer lining fabric. And then you can also on top of it potentially do like a thin wool sort of batting layer. So it'll be thick, but I really want it to be a substantial winter coat that I could wear a lot of the year. So that's my number 1, some sort of like wool tailored coat. I know that Bella Loves Patterns is actually coming out with a coat that I think is going to be my dream coat pattern. It's only been in her story, so I can't actually show you anything, and when I looked last, she didn't have anything up there. So if you are interested in kind of trying to figure out what I'm talking about, go to follow her on Instagram. She's really great. She's got really beautiful tailored patterns, and I think that, yeah, she's going to make the pattern of my coat dream. So that's where I'm going to get started with that coat whenever that pattern comes out. It might be later on in the year, who knows. Number 2 is, I laugh because if you've been on this channel before, at any point, you may have heard me talk about this, because I've been talking about wanting to make a pair of workwear inspired sort of railroad overalls for probably 2 years, like since I started this channel. And I've had the fabric about that long. I've had this like lovely Merchant & Mills railroad striped denim that is the perfect denim for the pattern. It's going to be the Jenny overalls. I've already got the pattern. I've made the pattern. I know the fit changes I want to make. So I just have to get started. And maybe I'll even start this week, because we got to kick this off right. You know, we don't want it to be a 2022, only make one thing on the Make 9. So, you know, I think I'll probably try to get started as soon as possible. Some of the changes I'll make to the Jenny overalls, I already know it will be a much thinner and straighter leg. So I've already made this pattern before, and I'll post a photo up here so you can see, but basically I want them to be quite straight legged. I'm also going to draft a back bib, because I love the Jenny overalls, but the only thing I do not love is the super long straps for the overalls. They pretty much, if you undo the overalls, the straps just hang off the back because they start at the waist. And so you have to, when you're putting them on, you have to kind of like really reach to put them on, and they get tangled. And anyways, that's just not my favorite feature of that pattern. So I'm going to draft a back bib, and that'll be the kind of only real change, other than straightening the legs and making them a bit thinner. And then, yeah, I'll have to play around with pattern matching, because, you know, if you don't match up the stripes on that kind of garment, it's just going to look wild. But that's a pretty big one on my list. So I think I'm trying to get started with that as soon as possible. And then number 3 is a Colourwork sweater, and I already have another pattern in mind. This one's going to be the Lume sweater from Sorry Nordland. I've been wanting to dive into Colourwork, and I've kept saying, every time I've seen like a cool new Colourwork pattern come out, I'm like, oh, maybe that'll be the one. Maybe that'll be the one. And then I changed my mind really quickly. But this is the one that I've kind of kept coming back to, and I just think it's really beautiful. And I really love how she's done it in the darker wool with the lighter contrast color. It kind of fits everything that it needs to be. The yarn is not super thin, so I think it's supposed to knit up quite quickly. I really like just the 2 colors, which is apparently ideal for Colourwork anyways. If you're like a new Colourwork knitter, you want there to be 2 colors, and you also want there to be no long floats. And from what I understand, the floats are quite short, and it is apparently quite a lovely beginner friendly Colourwork pattern. So I'm not a beginner knitter, but I'm an incredibly new Colourwork knitter. So that will be, I think, the one, unless there's one that comes out before I can get around to knitting that one. I think that is going to be this pattern from Sorry Nordland. And then number 4, this is where I start to talk again. You know, I was mentioning more broad categories of patterns, and for 4, the category is button-up shirts. And that's because I love wearing button-up shirts, but I have not really made any. I've maybe made one, and I think it has snaps. It's not even button-up. So I would really like to make classic button-up shirts. A few patterns that I have in mind for shirts are the Cameron shirt from Helen's Closet Patterns. It's a really great neutral or gender-neutral pattern. It is for men and women. It's for, I think it's, you know, it's without darts, and I really like that fit. I think it's just classic. It's kind of got all the bells and whistles of a traditional shirt. So I've already owned that one. I also would like to make the Modern Sewer Classic shirt. I own that one as well. Like, it's not without trying. I have actually cut out these patterns, I think, and clearly I bought them. So it's just a matter of making it happen. And the last one that I really like is the Assembly Lines oversized shirt pattern. I don't know if that's the exact name, but I think it is. I'll link all of these in the notes in the description box. All of those are good options. Maybe even make all 3 if I'm feeling really ambitious. I just need to get some good shirting fabric and I need to commit. Number 5 are jeans, and jeans were on my list last year, and I did make a pair of jeans, but I didn't make a pair of jeans that I absolutely love, and I really want to love them. I really want to wear them often, and so I want to get that like good fitting jean. I bought the Helene jean pattern from Anna Allen Clothing. I've heard really good things about the pattern. Everyone who's made the jeans, for the most part, the fit is lovely. And I would like to just get some really good solid denim and make a pair of like my perfect fitting jeans. And then from there, I would love to do like the double front jeans a la Rudy Jude, the classic sort of worker style double front like knee patch jeans with the contrast top stitching. It's something I've been also talking about for ages, but I think first perfecting the fit of the jeans and then going in and getting that whole double front style down will be, if I can get that done, I'll be really pleased with myself, because I have also been talking about it for ages. So yeah, jeans, but particularly the Helene jeans, particularly getting to that double front style that I have been really wanting for ages. Yeah, it's just got to be now. I feel like it's never gonna happen. And then number 6 is the perfect slip dress. This is not a pattern. This is just what I want, is a slip dress that is like the epitome of a great slip dress. I know that Closet Core Patterns has a slip dress pattern. It's a bit more on the lingerie style. It's got like kind of like the cups, and it's really beautiful. I just don't know if that's exactly what I want. I do want to try the Sadie slip dress. That one kind of seems like it fits the bill. Basically like a bias cut slip dress that's gently figure hugging, but not too figure hugging. I did try a couple slip dresses this year. None of them really worked out the way that I wanted, but I would really just like that classic slinky slip dress that can be dressed up or dressed down. I have another year of weddings to go to, so if I can get at least one that is really well fitting that I can wear to one of those weddings, I will be very, very happy about that. Number 7 is a knit cardigan, which I had on last year's list. I believe it was the pan cardigan specifically. And I don't necessarily have a specific pattern tied to this. I think what I would like to do is probably the champagne cardigan. But for some reason, I don't know, cardigans feel like there's just like a gap there in my head that is really hard for me to move beyond. I don't know if it's because you have to knit it flat. I don't know why it feels more intimidating to me than a sweater. If you've knit a cardigan, I would love to hear about your experiences with any particular pattern, because it's just a mental block I cannot get beyond. It just seems boring to me. I don't know. I would love it. The thing is, I know I would love it, and I know it would get a lot of wear in my wardrobe, and so I want to move beyond this whole block, but I'm having a hard time with it. And then another cardigan that I would really love to knit is the Olive cardigan by Knitting for Olive, which also incorporates a goal of mine that I want to achieve, which is learning to do some lace knitting, which I haven't done before. So lace knitting, cardigan, Knitting for Olive cardigan would be a good fit. But like, I think I just need to start with a cardigan, because I've been wanting to knit a cardigan for a long time, but it's just, again, it's always the block. So, but please tell me what you think about knitting cardigans in the comments. I would really like to know. Still on the knitting train, for number 8 is an unusual knit. So what I mean by that is like a dress. I know a dress is not necessarily unusual, but you don't see a lot of people knitting dresses. And I would really like to try knitting a dress. Sorry Nordland has a Colourwork dress that just blows my mind, and I don't think that's where I'll go with that this year. But I do really like the idea of that maybe at some point in the distant future. But I'd love to knit a dress. The chestnut dress, for example, could be a good one. I also really like the idea of like a skirt. Florence by Knits by Florence, also on YouTube. She has a like skirt pattern, and I would probably not knit the shorts. I would just knit the skirt, like the skirt part. I love that. It's kind of like it gives like a pleated skirt vibe. It's very, very, very cute. It's a ribbed skirt, very like fit and flare. adorable. I really like that. She also knit a pair of shorts. It's not her pattern, but someone else's pattern. She test knit these like tiny little pair of knit shorts. I think that's super cute. I really like the idea of that. So yeah, some sort of like unusual knit, something that's not like, you know, too common, something that's maybe a bit of a challenge. But yeah, something a bit unexpected. So number 9 is men's clothing. And for Christmas, I made my partner an apron. And so I would like to do more knitting and sewing for men. I'd love to make socks for, you know, my dad and my brother. I'd really like to knit a sweater for my partner. I love the idea of knitting the zipper sweater by Petite Knit for him. I think that would be a really great one. And he's already said that he would like to receive that one. So maybe that's down the line. I'd also, you know, because I want to do more button-ups, I would love to sew him a button-up, maybe also a chore coat, because he, you know, that's something that we've talked about for him as well. And I like the idea of doing more gift knitting in general, and just getting into some, you know, knitting, sewing, making for people who aren't myself, now that I'm feeling a bit more confident in my skills. And like I mentioned, I wanted to add a few like little bonus things, just some kind of general goals for this year. I bought 52 weeks of socks, and so I would really like to knit as many socks from that book as I can. I've just started to get into knitting socks again, and I'm really, well, actually not even again, just getting into sock knitting in general. So I'd really, really like to knit a pair of socks. I think that or many pairs of socks, sorry, but experiment with different sock patterns, and also just build up maybe like a little backlog of socks so that I can gift them to people as well. So I'd really like to get more into knitting socks. I would really like to knit, or I would really like to sew like a formal dress, not just a slip dress, but something that's a bit, you know, that's aligned and just a bit more complicated or a bit more involved. I think that would be really satisfying for myself. And then I also want to try a few other fiber related things. I would love to get like a sock machine. I'd really like to do punch needle. I really wanted to make a punch needle rug, so maybe that's something that'll come to the channel. And also explore a bit more of like home decor making in general. So yeah, like punch needle, but also knitting blankets or quilting as well. We're going to be moving into a new home in April, and so I've got many ideas about home decor ideas for that new place. That is everything for this little video. I hope you liked it. I am really excited and feel very motivated by filming this year, and just, you know, getting a little deeper into YouTube, hopefully more consistent. It is on my goal, sort of general goal planning for this year, to upload 1 video a week for the whole year. So that is minimum 52 videos. And it is something I feel really passionate about committing to. So I would really like to stick to Tuesdays. That seems like when most of you are online, according to my analytics. So hopefully that, you know, that is something that I can really stick with. It's something I want to stick with. And then other than that, thank you so much for being here. If you want to hang out outside of YouTube, I am on Instagram and TikTok, so you can find me there. And I am working on getting a written blog up as well, so you will be able to find that in the near future. As I mentioned, everything is in the description box. I am also planning on keeping that really solid and up to date with links and everything, because that is something that a lot of you requested, and a lot of you have also requested captions as well going forward. So I will be captioning all my videos. I will see you next time, next Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here, and have a lovely start to your year. Bye.